My brothers and sisters in Christ, today's readings continue the themes that we've been unpacking in recent days, as the Gospels continue to pick up the theme of great vigilance, of eternal consequences of choices, and of the call of fidelity to the King. And the first reading continues to be, as we jump around the books of Maccabees, of people put on the spot, in a sense, their life on the line, choosing fidelity to God or execution. And in this case, today in the first reading, we now hear the story of a mother who watches 7 of her sons put to death in front of King Antiochus. Again, like others that we've heard about, they're being forced to either forswear their vows to God to please him as a Gentile king. And so what is being asked of them is in no way compatible of their being faithful Jews. And so the choice is to die faithfully or to compromise themselves and live. And in this story, which is extreme, we only hear just a part of it. It's a long account and it's a very powerful one. But this mother watches each of her sons be executed as each of them stay true. The little part we hear today is the powerful speech of the mother to her son, encouraging him, even as King Antiochus tries to twist his arm to come to his way. The mother basically speaking to the wonders of God, the gift of life as mother, by whom each of her children were formed in her womb beyond her own power, speaking of God's hand being over all of creation, every human life, and saying, much better for you to die at this moment at the hands of this monster so that we can be united for all eternity, than for a moment of pain to give up everything. And so we see another faithful witness today, and we hold this up next to the story in the gospel today, which sounds very similar to what we heard in Sunday's gospel. Sunday we heard the parable of the talents, and this we hear a parable of coins, but it's the same theme, which is the master goes away, leaves his resources in the hands of his servants, and then demands an accounting when he comes back. Now, the version we hear today is a little more severe in its language because it adds on the fact that he goes to claim the kingship, and meanwhile, those servants send their delegation refusing him as their king. And so these are hostile servants, but he comes back nonetheless, demands the accounting of the coins, and then we hear, of course, the one servant who did nothing, did not bear fruit with what he was given, and the coin is taken away, given to the other servants, and a price is paid. The king calls forth all those who fought against his crown and has them put to death. It's very severe language. But what we see here is looming in these passages are the figure of King Antiochus in the first reading and the king in the gospel. It's a parable, but of course we know that the king refers to Jesus himself. And this upcoming Sunday, we prepare to celebrate Christ the King. And so, Jesus Christ, King of the universe, the Word incarnate has come, not for a crown by human standards, but a greater crown over all creation. And yet his own people are going to reject him and crucify him. And so, in this parable, he is referring to himself, the one that they will refuse, but the one that he has invested much in his people and will demand an accounting. So with this, we have 2 different kings making strong demands. King Antiochus is an earthly king, demanding fealty to him, or else they will be put to death. And Christ the King demands a fruitfulness, or else a death that will be eternal. The 2 sound the same, but the stakes could not be more different. And so we hear in the first reading the wise choice, the noble choice made by the mother and sons to refuse, to not give in to fear, to earthly punishment or even death at the hands of a human being, so that they may remain fidelity to the God of all the universe and secure a life eternal with him. In the same way, Jesus in the gospel calls us to remain faithful and to be fruitful with that which has been entrusted to us. And so, my brothers and sisters, we prepare for Thanksgiving tomorrow, a time that we are called to have perspective, to keep in mind all that God has done for us. And now we have the chance for response in gratitude, response in renewed fidelity, that we may have an eternal inheritance with the King. May God bless you all.